Hello, my name is Alex Fernando Rengnifo. I'm your host of Millennial Wisdom, the awakening of human consciousness. And I have a very special show this morning. I got my whole family with me today. My brother Carlos, Ricky, and my beloved sister Betty. So let's get started.
It's wonderful to have everybody. What a gift. For weeks now, we have heard you speaking about your family, Fermnado.
Yes.
And it's so nice to meet everybody. Betty is a dear friend of mine, so that's how I actually met Fermnado. I'm Josefa Salinas. I'm kind of the sidekick here on Millennium Wisdom, kind of walking everybody through the motions. And it is such an amazing moment to be all together, because we've heard about Carlos and Ricky and Betty, but now everybody is here together because we're seizing the moment.
Yes,
we're seizing the moment. And Fermnado, you're going to kick it all off by telling everyone why it is so important to seize the moment and why you've invited your family here today.
Yeah, I invited my family because they are very, very special in my life, and they are very special people. And seizing the moment is taking the opportunity, be sensitive enough to take the opportunities that present in our lives. And this is one of them, to have them all together right now and be able to take advantage of their wisdom also. Because something I don't know if I have told you, but I won't tell you anyway. The majority of our wisdom, we got it from two sources. One source is the Bible, and the other source was our mother. The way we were raised, the way we were advised. Our mother left us a legacy, an unbelievable legacy for all of us. Yeah, and the love that she poured in our hearts through our growing up was so immense that she encouraged us to pour that love into each other in a very amazing way too. And it grew, and it did results. The result is that we are right now sitting here holding hands and talking. Yeah, and the support. Yeah, throughout my illness, they've been immense support. My brother told me, I said, well, I didn't know, that I had all this support, if I knew I would reach this. And then my brother Carl says, brother, you always had this support. All you needed to do is ask. All you need to do is reach. You always have this support. And when he told me that, I realized, I realized what a treasure I have in my brothers. And just tears went down my face. Because I didn't realize, one thing is when you hear something, and another thing is when it's internalized in your heart and you feel it. When he said that, it just impacted me in such a way that says, wow, I didn't know. Sometimes we are oblivious to what surrounds us. We are not totally present. And this has been some of our problems in life, that we are not present in what is around us, what surrounds us. We don't go into details and what's happening around us.
All of you have just heard this statement from Fermnado. So how do you all feel about his statement that it took, obviously, clearly, the illness to bring him to this point where he could have that realization? So what was missing before that he didn't have that realization?
I think it's it's a true statement. Many things you said, Fernando, the love that we have for each other and what our mother really instilled upon all of us is something that we're instilling now in our children. And it will continue for generations. And that's really, really critical, is to really teach our children to be united, for us to be united, and to do it with our own actions. What you said about you realizing that you have our support, and Carlos saying you've always had the support, you always have. And when there is a drug addiction in the family, it causes the entire family to disrupt. And all of a sudden, you were no longer doing drugs, and then you realize you opened the door for all of us to be reunited again. And it wasn't, it was something like, tough love, and it was very difficult. I remember the day that I told you, that you couldn't be in my life again until you stopped doing drugs. And it was a very difficult moment for me, because you're my oldest brother and I love you so much. But it was my way of loving you, to do the right thing for you in spite of how I felt. And then all of a sudden you were back, and it was like we were just united again, and we could pour the love back into you, and pour the love back into you and your wife.
I think that, if I may interject, there's something also in what Betty just said that is also true, and that is when she said pour the love back. I think that's a big part of it. Because the love that you've been receiving through this time is just the repercussions of the love you gave us as we were growing up, and just seeing beyond, allowing us for us to see what we've always seen, which is beyond the drug addiction, and that is the Fermnado we've always known. So what you're receiving in the unity of our brotherhood here, sisterhood, with our family, siblings, is just all it is we're just giving it back. It's always been here. And I think that's one of the concepts of life that often escapes us, is that more often we have more support than we think we do. More often we have more love than we think we do. We're just asleep. We're somewhere else in our mind and listening to the dumb voices in our head.
Yeah.
And the voices that
I call it
lead
the
us
committee.
nowhere.
Yeah, the committee.
The committee.
The committee, yes. And I think it took this, what I call the life's interruption, one of many. We all have life interruptions, yes. A car accident, death in the family. In this case, for you, it took this, for you to have this interruption. And God's given you this gift of awakening and seeing that the love and the community that you have fed into many years ago has always been here. Even when we took a stand for you not to take drugs anymore, and in essence excommunicated you from the band of brothers here, but we've always been here. It was just a different way of being here for you, and you being drug free allows for us to be present, like you said, and be here for you, and demonstrate the love that we always wanted to demonstrate. So.
I'd like to say something too. The thing about the drugs is that once the person like you, and I love you very much, is in it, we just don't know what is the right thing to do. How should we behave? What is it that we can do to help you out? Many times, we help you out by paying this and paying that, and all of a sudden we're realizing that we're just enabling you to continue doing what you're doing, and it creates such a struggle on seeing somebody that we love and we care so much for going down, and if we do something, we're just not really helping you out. That the only thing that we can do is just detach, pray to God for you to see that way of life is incredibly self-destructing, and obviously destroys the unity that we have. And it just don't know. I had no idea how to behave except to get you out of my life because I have too many problems. I can't deal with a problem that I have no idea how to deal with, and you're in the middle of it. Okay? But yeah, this thing that happened to you, that obviously you're totally out of it. Okay? And now, all of a sudden, I got my brother back. Yeah, you got something terrible that is killing you, that gave my brother back. And I love you so much. And you just need something, and I jump on that old airplane, and I'm down here. I mean, playing music, laughing, goofing off, laughing at the world, just feeling the world and seizing the moment.
Every moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Living all the way to its fullest. Even if it takes driving a motorcycle 100 miles an hour. I'm sorry, that's another topic. That's another topic. But really. So it's such a sweet and sour feeling.
Yeah.
Such a sweet and sour feeling. I mean, we had some incredible moments together.
Yeah.
All I have to do is let's record some music,
Yeah.
and we laugh our head off. We have a good story on that one.
There's a story about that one. Yeah, I was in his shop, and he had in his office about 4 or 5, four?
Computers. About 4 or 5 computers.
Yeah, 4 or 5 computers. Yeah, and then we decided, we love music. Says, let's record some music. Let's make some duplicates, CDs.
I have
yeah.
a very good, incredible music collection.
Oh yeah,
About
that's
1,000
another
CDs.
for all kind of music, Spanish music, old music, classical music. We love
Art.
classical music.
Yeah.
Yeah, my brothers and I, we all love classical music, and we love Vivaldi and the Four Seasons.
We were listening to
And,
Strauss on the way over.
Oh, it's
From your
yeah.
phone.
We love John Sebastian Bach and Brandenburg Concerto.
yeah.
All these. So we decided to make copies, of CDs, because we had about 4 computers, so we can put them all and do it quickly. And then my brother says, "Okay, let's start, playing the music." So, that's great music. Let's toast for that. Yes, I have a bottle of scotch here. Oh, okay.
There's a story
He said,
to the
okay.
Scotch.
And yeah, the story is
There's a
great.
story to the Scotch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he put a little bit of chart, said, "That sounds great. Let's toast it." I drank a little bit of scotch, and he drank a little bit of scotch. In about 2 hours.
I think it's a little more than that because we
More-
finished like around midnight.
Oh, yeah, for
Okay.
middle night. We have finished the bottle of scotch. It was 1 or 2 bottles of scotch.
Yeah, no, one. Just one. I think it was just one.
We were drunk, and I had to call my daughter to drive us because we couldn't
We had about 40
function.
CDs. We recorded 20 or 40 CDs.
Oh,
Very good music collection.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We were, passed out. My poor daughter. Yeah, we have to call my daughter and say, "Well, you have to take us home because we can't walk." So that's the story of recording CDs, and we finished the bottle of scotch with my brother. It's a scotch because we got used to the smell. My father used to drink scotch. Yeah. Fortunately, none of us got into drinking too much. None of us. No, my sister, no, my brothers got into drinking. No, myself either. That was fortunate because my father had a problem with the alcohol. But we had a great experience in sharing and sitting. So that's the story of this cash. Oh, the CDs, right?
Yeah.
And
With
the
my brother.
CDs.
Every single enterprise that we take, my brothers and I, we enjoy the Max. We enjoy each other's company in a very amazing way. Yeah. we cheer up for each other. We are each other's heroes. Yeah. My brother Ricky is my hero. My brother Luis Carlos is my hero.
I want
Hey,
to
wait, he's
share a story. You just reminded me of a story.
yeah.
Okay, if I may.
Wait a minute, you stopped him before he said his sister Betty's his hero too.
That's fine. That's fine. You are all of us.
You're our hero.
Yeah.
Okay,
You are
now
the
I
only
follow.
girl.
Okay, bro, you can go with the story.
So the story goes, and many of you will remember that at my house when I used to have the big house,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inland Empire,
Yeah.
we decided to have a surprise birthday party for Alex.
Oh yeah.
And so what we did was we all dressed up as superheroes. And it was a superhero party. And the purpose of the superhero party is to remind Alex Fernando that, thank you, to remind Alex Fernando that, that he's our superhero. And so what we did is we made arrangements to have his daughter pick him up at the airport. And then she drove over to our house. At the time we were in the Temecula Valley. And I had a big house. And so when he arrived, we were all dressed up as superheroes in character.
Oh yeah.
And we opened the garage door. We all rushed the car, and we all Batwoman was acting like Batwoman, and Spider-Man was acting like Spider-Man, and the only one that was missing was the Superman. So, we specifically told everyone not to wear the Superman costume because that was Fernando's costume. And so we actually got him a Superman costume, and we dressed him, we tackled him almost, and we dressed him on the way into the house and had a surprise superhero birthday party for my brother Alex. I think you were turning 50, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're turning 50, and that was our surprise birthday party for him. That we always wanted to tell him and remind him that he's been our superhero for, as long as we can remember anyway. And that was a way for us to celebrate his life and his 50th birthday by putting him in a Superman costume and having fun. And a side story beside that, my next door neighbor happened to be also my boss at the time, and he was mowing the lawn. And so you can imagine he's mowing the lawn and this car arrives. And all of a sudden, all of us, including myself, I was Spider-Man, and so we were all out there, and we just imagine the doors opening, and everybody rushes out of the house, and we're all in super. And so he stopped midstream and looked at me and looked at my family. He just kind of shrugged his shoulders, yeah, because he obviously knew me. Anyway, so that's a sidebar story to that, but it was a great day, and I still have pictures, obviously, from that, and we had a great time.
Yeah, great time. The best parties I ever have had in my life has been at Luis's house. We had so much fun. We let go and joke around and dance, and it's the best parties.
Yeah, we had a lot of good parties.
Great parties.
Yeah. We had a lot of good parties.
And then because we shared, and I don't remember in any of those parties anybody getting drunk. Drunk, no, never did. We just enjoy each other's company and joke around. Yeah, that's the best part of our lives. Yeah, I believe is each other's company.
I think we all got drunk at the same time. That's why he doesn't remember.
Oh my gosh.
No,
just kidding.
No, that's because I didn't allow alcohol in my home.
Yeah.
In my house, so I didn't. I had my bit with alcohol when I was 18, 19, and 20 years old.
Yeah.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and so I decided at one point that the alcohol was enough in my life, and so I didn't allow alcohol in my house for that reason.
Yeah.
And not that alcohol is a bad thing. I still on occasion I may drink something, but we had a lot of parties. But I don't think it was just there. I think we've had some good times over at Ruby's and Betty's house. We've had a lot of really good events,
your party this January was very special.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Yolanda's house.
Yeah.
Where we had,
that was
where you
really
got
beautiful.
to say all your poetry.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And the
He's a
very
poet.
first.
Oh, New Year's.
He's
that's
quite
right.
the
Okay.
poet, and we got to put together his life story in poetry,
Yeah.
And
14 poems that I recite that day. The first. Oh, that was delighted. It was just so much sharing, and so much, when you recite a poem, it's not just recite a poem. You let it go. You let it flow on the air, and then you feel how it's been received, and all the feelings that poem stir up. Yeah, it's just come back to you when you recite it. It's an amazing experience when you recite the poem, and you feel what they feel, and you see in their eyes and in their souls what is causing the poem. And it's an amazing experience. I haven't shared this with them. Yeah, this part. It is an amazing feeling when you recite a poem with all your heart, everything. And we had that on the 1st of this year. And 14 poems, one after another, with music, with the Colombian music. And the emotions and the feeling was so overwhelming. It was so magnificent. And it's just one of the best first of the year that I ever have had. It was amazing. And being in church with my brothers, it's just an amazing thing.
you got to share with the entire family. We filled the house. Everybody
at
was
that
there.
time, I shared with the entire family, with cousins and brothers and sisters and wives.
But do you know why everybody showed up? Everybody showed up because of you. Carlos was saying that we are pouring our love back to you and everything that you have done for all of us.
Wow.
When we first came from Colombia, you became our dad because you were like the head of house and you took care of us.
Yeah.
And I remember living in Oakland, and at the time it was not as nice a place as it is right now. It was a little dangerous, and you said, no, Betty has to go to a private school, and you worked extra hard to put me through school. When I needed a place to stay in Southern California, having gone through a really bad divorce, I didn't have a place to go, and you quit your job, and you got an apartment so that I would have a place to stay. You gave me my first $500 scholarship so I could go to college, and you said, I want you to get educated and live life, like feel it through your veins. Remember that?
Yeah.
And I want you to feel and seize that moment and then go out and make a difference in the world. You remember that?
I remember that. I remember it says you gotta grow out of your brain tentacles and feel and touch everybody and everything around you. Yeah, it's my way of saying being present. Being present. From your brain just grow legs and grow arms so you can touch and feel. And one of the things that I identified with was you'll be able to taste music, and then you'll be able to listen to colors. What I meant in that is go beyond the natural feeling, the natural senses of a human, and go beyond that, because there's a lot more out here beyond our mere senses, our mere feelings, that we can deepen our senses on what's happening around if we are present.
Like Beethoven.
Yeah, like Beethoven.
Like Beethoven, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you were giving and pouring onto us back then, and you were teaching us how to live life and how to seize the moment and how to reach out and how to be present. And you continue to do that today. Today you are teaching us how to live how to live life, how to surrender, how to truly surrender, and how to,
Thank you.
in the midst of the inevitable, this is what you say today, the best way to handle it is to completely surrender
Yeah.
when you are faced with the inevitable. And I have seen in you surrender unlike I've ever experienced in my life.
Thank you.
And how wonderful it is to see that so palpable when you are in the midst of your illness, and how you just surrender, and how you are present, and how you observe your illness from and I say equanimous perspective, from an unbiased, objective perspective.
Thank you.
It's an amazing way to live life, and that those lessons that you're giving us and everybody around you, the doctors, the nurses, everybody's in awe of how you are handling your illness.
Yeah.
To me, you continue to be an example of how to live life.
Thank you. Thank you. I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, I have an amazing family and amazing upbringing on that part. Yeah. Just things that we change what things that we can change, and we accept the things that we can't change. My brother was telling me, says, what you resist, what you resist, persist. That's what you resist, persist. That was my brother says. And I said, well, that's got to be the truth, because that's what I've seen in my life too. So acceptance and resistance. Resistance brings friction to our lives. And one of the things that he told me, that I don't know if he remembers, he says, brother, if you go against the grain, you're going to find resistance and hardship. You got to go with the flow. Find what the flow is and go with the flow. ¿Te acuerdas?
I do. And unusually enough, I'm probably the first person to tell you to not go against the flow, because I live my life so much in the shadow of the edge myself.
Yeah.
But I don't mean in the edge of self-destruction.
Yeah.
I mean the edge of self-realization and discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I say the context of what we were talking about was the resistance that you had at the time towards your perception of authority, and we were talking about specifically a situation you had with a police officer that there was a situation. I don't remember exactly. I mean, I remember specifics, but I'd rather not get into those specifics. But there was a situation that you had with a police officer that he came to you and he said, "I don't like you," and you said, "Well, I don't like you either," you know, and you were, you know, so it was your way of resisting, the sense of authority, and so the topic came up about how resistance shows up in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and in the valleys of your life is when you were resisting the most, and those was one of those situations. And what I was sharing was the concept of, there's moments when you have people who are in authority over you and you resist that, and if you find a way to stop resisting that ugly feeling that you have about authority. Some people feel comfort in authority, and some people don't. In your case, you have this discomfort about the concept of authority. And so what I was sharing was that as long as you resist that thing which brings you turmoil, then you're going to continue to have turmoil in your life.
Yeah.
But the minute you just surrender in that, that's a challenge for you, or that brings you a challenge that's hard for you. That once you are awake enough to say, hey, that bothers me, I will no longer give it power. I will no longer let it have that power over me,
Yeah.
that resistance immediately backs down.
Yes.
And that was the context. I remember
Yes.
that conversation very
Yes.
clearly, yes.
Yes, I remember. I'm going to share with you, with all of you, something. You know that at one time I had 7 tickets for speeding, mostly for speeding. And they sent me a letter from the DMV. If you get one more ticket, we're going to suspend your driver license. Since that day, I have not had a ticket for anything. I've been stopped, but I have not got a ticket. Because of the lesson that he was telling me, I have sort of I seized the moment and I just got it and internalized. It's 2 things when you hear something from your ears and get in your brain, and other things when you get internalized and you understand it and it makes part of you. Let me tell you this. I was driving with my aunt on the freeway, and I was late, and I was on the fast lane. I was going about 75, 80 miles an hour, and I realized it was going too fast. But I didn't pay attention, and there was a police officer on my right-hand side, and I passed him. It was 75, 80 miles an hour, and I passed him. Immediately he stopped me. He put the lights on and stopped me. And I remember what Carlos told me. And then he talked to me and asked me, do you know how fast were you going? And I said, yes, I know. I'm sorry. I was in a hurry, and I didn't lie to him. I didn't resist him. Yeah. So I said, I'm sorry. I was late. I was not paying attention. That's why. He says, you passed me on the fast lane. You passed me. You didn't see me. He said, if I would have saw you, I would see you, I would stop and slow down, but I didn't see you. I was distracted. I'm sorry. And I was totally honest on my feelings and everything. And everything. I was open and vulnerable, and I said, I'm sorry, completely. And then he says, what is going to take for you to slow down? And I says, I promise I'm going to slow down right now. It's not, I wasn't paying attention. If I would pay attention, I would slow down because I saw you. But I wasn't paying attention, sorry. Then he says, okay, what is going to take for me for you to slow down? He says, nothing, I'm going to slow down right now. He says, okay, go to your appointment. Don't keep on speeding. Slow down. He says, I promise you I'm going to slow down. He didn't give me a ticket. He did not give me a ticket. Since those tickets that I had, 7 tickets, I have not received 1 ticket. And I have broke the law. So one time too, a police stopped me. And I said, what is, He said, do you know why I'm not stopping you? I said, no. He says, your tax, you don't have your tax. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that I didn't have my tax. Somebody stole them, I showed my insurance, everything. And he says, I can impound your vehicle. I said, I'm sorry about that. Somebody stole it. So let me have your driver license. So I gave him my driver license. He came back and says, your driver license is suspended. I said, I didn't know. Listen, my wife has a driver license, it's active. She can drive home. And I will take her. Can you do me a favor? Tell me which court suspended it, and I will take care of it. And he went and told me which court and everything. And then he returned my driver license. And he says, I can impound your car right now. Take you. And I said to him, I promise you tomorrow I'm going to take care of the ticket. He said, I didn't know. It was not advice. You know that he didn't give me a ticket. You know that he didn't do anything. He says, okay, go home. Tomorrow you're going to take it. If I see you around here again, I'm going to stop you. I'm going to check out if you took care of the ticket. He says, you don't have to do that. For sure, I'm going to take care of the ticket tomorrow. And they didn't give me a ticket. They didn't impound my car. I was driving with the suspended driver license. Yeah, I had all the other documents in order. I didn't have stickers on them, and I didn't get a ticket at that time. When you don't resist, when you're honest from the bottom of your heart, that honesty, that no resistance, it shows, it transpires, and it changes people around you. Yeah. I went the next day, and I checked out how much I had to pay $750 for that ticket. But I kept my word. Yeah, I kept my word. And the honesty, the sincerity in your heart, the policeman asks you, for instance, how fast you were going? Oh, I don't know. You knew. You know, the minute you say, I don't know, you're dishonest. And that shows, and that transmit. And that sense is being sensed by the policeman. It's being sensed, your dishonesty. He doesn't know for sure. Possibly. It's a possibility he doesn't know for sure. But the feelings are transmitted. And it changes.
There's something to be said for living a life in truth, and for living a life of integrity and transparency.
Transparency, yeah.
And
you talk about that in your book too, Betty. Betty has a book called #Values. She won't promote it, I will. And she talks about the whole concept of living your life in values, based on a value-based leadership, more specifically. And she does talk about that in her book. About and I'll parallel that to Covey. Stephen Covey also has a book called First Things First, which is one of the 7 habits of highly effective people. And I think it's a really good compliment, because the book #Values is really about how you live your life based on this value system. And the value system in this sense is honesty. And it's a very powerful
it's the foundation, system. You know, when you talk to Stephen Covey, when I had a conversation with him about his book on building trust, and there is a sense of trust that we have with each other, and it's because we are 100% truthful to each other today. Today.
Yeah. Today.
There is no lying. There is no hiding. There is no more hiding.
Yeah, no.
And we have always been able to talk about everything.
Yeah.
Everything with one another. And when there is truth, and when there is integrity, when there is transparency, then and only then can there be trust. And that's the foundation of relationship. That's the foundation of everything. And this is what you talked about. Let me bring it right back to the very beginning of this conversation, when Fermnado, when you were talking about what our mother taught us.
Yeah.
This right here, this is what she taught us.
Yeah.
And our father also taught us, be there for one another. Because Mom used to say, someday I'm not going to be here.
Yes.
And then you're just going to have each other. But this could not happen without integrity and trust. And without, there's been so many times when we've just called each other and said, you know what? I don't like you right now. And this is why. Or this is what's happening with my life. And this is why. And those are tough conversations to have. But we go there with one another. Even though it's tough, we go there with one another, because
some would call them crucial conversations.
Crucial conversations, yeah.
To quote another book, we're also avid book readers.
Yeah.
And we apply those. When you're talking about trust, you're talking about when Stephen Covey, his son, came out with a book called The Speed of Trust.
Yeah, The Speed of Trust.
Yeah.
And
And,
that's,
it's a phenomenal
Stephen Covey
book.
Jr.
Yeah.
It's an amazing book, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing man.
I remember when we used to fight. We fight, especially, and those two used to fight. Yeah, they used to fight. And my mother called and says, "Come over here, hug your brother, give it a kiss, and forgive him, hug your brother. It's your brother now and forever." Y nosotros, no, dale un abrazo y dale un beso. And she made us do it, even if we don't want to do it. Because the action propels the feeling.
The feeling, yeah.
The feeling. And we did it. And we had to do it. We had to do it or
Or else.
or else. Yeah. And we learn to forgive each other. We learn to love each other unconditionally. There's no conditions on that. Because at the time, we were not liking each other. We were mad at each other. He says, and my mother says, "No, stop. Give a hug, give a kiss to your brother or to your sister." And that planted in our heart the word, your brother was special. That you can't hold grudges. That you have to, because the maximum authority in the house was mandating that, was my mother. So she planted that so deep in our hearts that it don't matter what we do, what we are, we can't stay mad to each other. We can't. Yeah, we care for each other very deeply, very deeply. I remember one time when we were growing up, my brother, he was something else. My brother.
You mean I'm still not something else?
No, you're not. You
Not as much.
come out. and I.
Oh, you're talking about when you caught me smoking pot in the
Yeah.
In the kitchen?
All these things, yeah. All these things that you think.
Tell the
that-
story. That's a good story.
Yeah, oh, yeah. It has many stories
Yeah.
with my brother. Yeah, he wasn't smoking pot, and I was worried about it. And I was worried about it. I didn't do any drugs at the time. I didn't smoke cigarettes, nothing. Alcohol, nothing in the time. So I wanted to know who he was hanging out with. How can I talk to him? How can I be close to him? Because he's getting separated. He got separated. I went to all his parties and all his friends, and I met his friends, and I made friends with his friends, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was about 14 or 15 years old,
Yeah.
and
I made friends with his friends.
decided to kind of go on my own way, and
Yeah.
so I dropped out of school and I started smoking pot and hanging out with a lot of my friends who were gangbangers here in the Inglewood and Carson, and it was in the time of my life where I was looking to find my own identity,
Yeah.
because my siblings had already moved out of the house, and Fermnado had already moved out, and it was just my mom and myself, and I was and I never really did try in school. I was one of the only ones. They all got good grades. They all did real well in school. I never tried in school. I didn't care much about school at the time. So I began to dabble in, where do I find, where's my community? Where's my tribe? And I couldn't, I was looking for a tribe. I think often kids, I now deliver seminars for teenagers, and I one of the common denominators is they're looking for a tribe, and I really relate to that. So at that time I was looking for my tribe, and those things that connect the tribe, and it back then I think is true as it is now, is that drugs obviously unfortunately connect the tribes, and so my drug of choice at that time was marijuana, and I tried some cocaine. It's really funny I'm saying that because my son's holding the camera over here and he's hearing me share this, but I also believe in transparency with my children as well. So and so I was in the kitchen. I decided to quit to ditch school that day, and I had some pot again. Well, that specific day I decided to stay home, and I decided to smoke pot. So I remember very, very clearly that specific day that I was in the kitchen and I pulled out a bowl and I did my thing and I started smoking a bowl, and Fernando walked in, and he caught me literally like inhaling, right? And I remember my embarrassment of having my brother. Just that idea that I knew I was going to let him down. And so I responded the way we respond to things, you know. I offered. You want some?
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I literally had the bowl, and I just
Yeah,
finished,
I remember that.
I just finished inhaling, and he walked right into the kitchen, and I remember just just inhaling, and you want some, and what was, I think the most interesting part about that, I mean, it's comical now. At the time, it wasn't funny because I was destroying my life. But what was interesting was his response, and this is, I think, this is a big part of where I got the non-resistance part, and that is that he didn't resist. He didn't go into what we call the automatic reaction. He didn't demonstrate anger or anything. He said, and those words stayed with me to this day. He said, "It's not so much that you ditch school, it's that you ditch school to smoke pot." And that's all he said. He didn't say anything else. You know, I think as a parent, I'm a father now, 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. And I think about how often we want to, when our children don't behave in the manner that we want them to, that we want to, in our efforts to teach them the lesson about life, about why they should or should not do something, that we go overboard because we let our emotions run the thing we're resisting, right? And we let our mouth diarrhea, right? And we diarrhea all over our children. And I struggle with that I think just as much as any other parent. But I think one of the pieces of wisdom that my brother showed me was the wisdom of grace and the wisdom of patience. Yeah. And that stayed with me. That's all he had to do is say those few words. And that left me enough for me to, and that became the inner voice that began to build conviction in my heart about the foolishness of doing drugs. Just that alone. It was just those few words. And I love that. I love that my brother Fernando, that he involved himself in my life. He got to know all my friends. Yeah. He got to know all my friends, all my girlfriends, all the people associated with. He got to know one of my teachers. He dated one of my teachers. He really, I mean, that's commitment. We call it level 5 commitment. Be or do whatever it takes, right?
Yeah, do whatever
right?
it takes. Yeah.
He dated one of my teachers, and that wasn't fun. Yeah.
No, but he also got involved with me. I remember when I was in gymnastics, and I was competitive gymnastics, and it was you and Ricky, you two. Yeah. You guys got in the car. I was in a bus, and we were going to Anaheim to do this huge national convention, and all of a sudden my girlfriends look back at the bus, and there's this car with my 2 brothers in it, and they're like, "There's your brothers following us." Like, why are my brothers following us? Now, at the time, I was really embarrassed. We stopped at a Denny's for breakfast. Were you in the car, Carlos?
I don't remember.
I don't remember you being in the car.
I remember your gymnastic meets, but I don't remember that specifically.
Well, they were right behind us, and they wanted to know where I was going, where their little sister was going, who their little sister was with, and they wanted to talk to the coach. They wanted to talk to the girls, and I was the most embarrassed little girl in the world. But today, it's that involvement and that parent involvement, because my dad wasn't here. You were my dad.
Yeah.
And, let's talk a little bit about that, because Fernando, in other shows, you've talked about your feelings about being thrust into this leadership role, and how you felt about that. Why don't you share that with your brothers and sisters?
Yeah, it was all the teachings of my mother, what she planted in my heart and my life. Yeah, the most important things, the most important person besides myself was my brothers and my sister. Then I needed to protect them. I needed to care for them. My mother used to say, they always going to be your brothers. They always, you cannot divorce them. They're always going to be your brothers. And you got to take care for them. This is, my mother used to say, I have nobody else. Your fathers know me. You're the oldest. I got nobody else, mijo. You see?
That's a lot of pressure for somebody at the age of 19 you were to take over. I mean, you left the university. There was one semester left, and you left and you came here under the auspices that you were going to be able to go back and finish school. And then it wasn't your choice to stay here. And yet you chose this.
Yeah, I tackle it. I just when you get into a situation, you have two choices: resist or accept, and do the best you can. You know, if you resist, it's gonna be like they say, hell for you for the rest of your life, or for that time.
Sure.
And if you accept and you take your abilities and make the best out of it, and a regañadientes, como dicen, whatever it takes, and you just deal with it, usually just flourished. If you put your best, it flourished. Yeah. I always, and I have to tell you this, I always think, I've been thinking in my life, that I sell my brother Ricky short on my life. I didn't share enough. I didn't give him all the support, all the things to Ricky. I don't know why. I gave him support to Carlos, I gave support to you, but to Ricky, I sold him short of my life. Yeah.
But
And that part always been in the back of my mind for some reason or another. Yeah, because I share a lot with Carlos, I share a lot with Betty, but it's been a little bit more distant. I don't know why.
That's because you guys used to fight for girls.
No.
Okay, let me say something, brother. Okay, I think I've told you this. Okay, but you were my hero when I was growing up. We're 7 years, 6.5 years difference.
Yeah.
And I saw you exceeding at so many things. I always say when I grow up, I want to be like my brother because he is the man. I mean, you were the fastest at school. You were the best at school. You have the coolest girls. You had everything. You even confronted that. You even confronted that. I mean, my father was kind of a rocky subject because we didn't really get to know over that, or in my case especially, until we were later in life. He was just a person that came in, took care of everything, drank all the time, and fought with mom all the time. That's all. So it was like, oh. And I grew up with a lot of resistance to that. But I saw my brother, he was like the man. He was. Maybe that's why I hate drugs passionately. I hate drugs passionately because it stole my Superman, my hero. I lost him. And I tried so hard to get him back. And I would do anything to get him back. And he was just like a body with somebody else in there that sometimes it would reflect something of who my brother was. And that's why, let's say like this moment, I tell you, brother, I'm enjoying this moment incredibly. I mean, you say jump and I said how high. Really, you just grab the phone and I'm flying over here and I'm over here like, let's take care of business. That's all it is. Let's take care of what's going on. What's the need? We'll take care of it. Because my hero is back. My hero is back. So you think that you didn't give enough to me? Brother, I am who I am because of you. I am who I am because of you. And I love you to death.
And that goes for all of us.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not just Ricky. It's all of us. It's the example you have given us. And everything that you have done for us. And the sacrifices, because those are true sacrifices that you have made for us. The example when you were preaching at church. When you were learning, geez, you're the smartest person I know. School, sports, music, academia, relationships. Your relationship with God is what made me be a youth pastor at the age of 15. Because I saw you do it. I wanted to be just like you.
I was also a church pastor, thinking about what would my brother do.
Wow.
And that's what I did.
And I was a church pastor. Remembering seeing you as a child, as 4 or 5, 6 years old, seeing you preach, God's word. And I started a church, all that.
Yeah.
And even let me give you the legacy. My son holds the door for his mom.
Wow.
And my son holds the door for me and for his girlfriend and for whoever lady he stands in front. And I'm treated like a lady because you taught me the value of being a woman, and you taught me the value of standing for my own self and honoring and respecting myself enough to surround myself with gentlemen. You taught me that.
I remember that. Yeah.
So you have imprinted a very powerful value system, and usually not. And like I was saying, that my son holds the door for his mom, and I'm teaching him, the things that you have imprinted in me about being gentle and kind and being respectful to a woman, and honoring their place, and honoring my wife's place.
Oh yeah.
In the home, and having her in that place that she deserves as my spouse. Going to be 20 years married this coming February, with and passionately in love with my wife. Those values that you imprinted in me early on. It's interesting because as a teenager, that value system wasn't respected. So I was as I was working my way through how do I treat a woman, looking at different ways of who I am and what a woman is to me. You would always imprint to me that a woman is to be respected, is to be honored, is to be cherished, is to be treated like a flower, whatnot, right? Not weaker per se, but just being a gentleman.
Gentle.
And it took me some time to find a woman, a 9-cow woman, who would value that. And that's even my wife, even my dad, she loves you and appreciates that in you, and she knows that came from you, because when I would do something that she would appreciate, she would say, I love that in you. And I would say, yeah, my brother taught me that. My brother Fermnado taught me that. That's the legacy.
It goes back to when we talk early in the show about parenting. It goes back to that, because our children not only, I think they listened less, but they absorb the feelings more. They take all our feelings as parents, and they emulate that. And you can tell them, don't do this, don't do that. But what you feel that it transmits to them, they capture it and treasure it more and make them what they are right now. So it's not just saying, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. It's a lot more than that. It's what we feel They absorb that, and they imitate that. Yeah, and don't kid yourself. They are not observing. They observe. They analyze, and they understand, and they analyze exactly what you're saying and what you're doing, and they absorb that, and they act just like you inside. They do. They mimic you, and they form their character. Not only they form the character, but it will carry them. All these teachings, all these feelings, it carries them to make decision and make them what they are right now. If you want to feel proud of your children, everything you do, everything they do, is probably talk less and act more with your heart, with your soul, with your feelings. He says, don't hate anybody, because the hate, it gets transmitted. The love, it gets transmitted too. He says, when you says, I don't like that person, think about it, because that don't like, it gets absorbed by your kids too. And they learn not to like a person with those characteristics, regardless of what they are.
Fernando, I don't know when we'll have this opportunity again to have your entire family here with you, because everybody lives in different parts of California.
Yeah.
I would like you, in closing of Millennium Wisdom here, to give each one of them a special message just from you to them. Each one separately.
Yeah. Yes. I'm going to start with my youngest brother. Yeah. He's a very wise man. And a special message. I felt very, very proud of you, brother. Or the person that you have become. A human being. And you are exemplar father. You are, brother, the father I wish I had. The way you are with your children. I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you, of who you became, an amazing human being. I have nothing else to say. Just remember what I said about the feelings, what the children absorb the feelings to each other and to all the surroundings. And you know that. I don't have to tell you anything about that. Just I'm proud of you. And Ricky. And Ricky too. Yeah. I'm proud of all my brothers and sisters. Ricky, I'm proud of who you are, who become. Your generosity, your caring for other people. The way you care about some other people. That's an amazing quality that you have. Explore it. Don't enable. Don't enable, because we have a tendency to enable people. But you help everybody. Yeah. You help everybody in your heart. You have a beautiful, beautiful heart to help and to care for people, and I love that. I love that in you. And you have become an amazing, amazing human being too. And that's made me feel proud. Like I said, you know that guy? That's my brother. You know that guy? That's my brother. Yeah. You know what I mean? The feeling. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And to Betty, so it's just the same. To Betty, I'm proud of who you are, who you have become, an amazing human being too. Yeah. Love yourself. Don't let anybody take advantage of you. Don't let anybody just feel pride. The pride. You are so beautiful, beautiful lady. Your beauty is beyond your comprehension. Your beauty is beyond your comprehension. Yeah. Tap into that. Yeah. Tap into that. You're an amazing, amazing woman. So much to give, and you're giving. And I'm very proud of you. Yeah. I'm very, very proud of you. It's like the same thing. The same thing that I got with Ricky. That's my sister. That's my sister. Yeah. Yeah. Just don't let anybody take advantage of you. Yeah. People not knowing sometimes or not realizing it. And when they do this, somebody else is lacking that part. He sees it. He sees it. I see it. Right? Yeah.
Thank you for being my father.
Thank you, brother. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for guiding me. And thank you for being there when I needed you the most.
I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't allow you to. I couldn't. You're my sister. The same thing with Carlos. I couldn't allow that. I just couldn't. It's my brother. That, thanks to Mother,
Yes.
what she planted in my heart and you guys' heart, the same way that my mother planted in our hearts, we plant in our kids the same thing too. That it carried us to make the decisions that we make right now. Yeah, they forms our character. We identify with all those teachings. We make it ourselves. This is where I am. That's why I couldn't let you by yourself. Because that's not me. We identified with concepts. We identified ourselves, make our personality, who we are, with concepts and defining who we are. Says no, the person who we are does this and this and this. Those concepts, yeah. Those concepts are implanted in our children too.
I want you to know something.
Yes.
I want you to know that the lessons that you have given us, they will be passed along, not just for generations to come in our own family, but we will touch every corner of the earth on my honor.
Yeah. We're going to make this world a better place.
Yes,
and
we
this
are.
is
One person at a time.
one person at a time.
Yes.
And that's our goal and that's our purpose in life.
Yes.
This is our prophet. I say prophet. Our Lord Jesus Christ says, you guys are the light of this world. You are the salt
For the earth.
of the earth. And something else that is not being mentioned. He says, I'm going to say it in Spanish because it's easier for me. He says, la creación, the whole creation, is waiting, is longing for the manifestation of children of God. Have you heard that? Mm-hmm. And the manifestation of children of God is us. We are the light. It's Millennial Wisdom, the awakening of human consciousness of who we really are. We are children of God. We are children of the entity, if I could say, the God that created all this beauty, all this amazing, amazing beauty. Then when we see a sunset or a sunrise, and we go, wow. We see a combination of flowers, and we go, wow, what a beauty. Then that person who in the back of our mind appreciate and see the beauty on the flowers, on the sunset, or on an act of somebody, who we really are. Who we really are. We are children of God. We are children of God. And who created all this immense beauty. Yeah. Immense beauty. And the capacity that we have to appreciate the beauty. So, for my audience, go out there and see the beauty that is in every person around. And if you see that beauty, seize the moment and acknowledge it, because that brings it to reality, the beauty of that person, and bring the good out of everyone, the best out of everybody. When you acknowledge it, you pinpoint it, and the person, the ego realizes, wow, I got that capacity. Even if you don't say it in the words, but it brings it out. So it's our duty, like Facundo Faustino says, being happy is not our right. Being happy is our duty because it's our decision. It's a decision to be happy. It's our duty because when we are happy, we contagious everybody around in the office. Everybody around gets contagious with your happiness. For it's our duty to be happy, to change this world for a better. Yeah.
All right, Fernando. Well, we will see you again on Millennium Wisdom.
Millennial Wisdom, the awakening of a human consciousness.